Hello, good morning. This is Lawanda Banks, and welcome to my Rooted Parent Workshop. I am an educator. I've been in education since the year 2000, and I have seen it as my life's mission and passion to follow the teaching journey and the educator's journey. And so I am now in the realm of helping parents to work with their children on different levels and different areas of life. So today in our workshop, we will be talking about digital kids, managing technology, social media, and screen time. This is to help navigate the digital age with confidence, build boundaries, ensure safety, and create meaningful connections that last. Before I start my presentation, I would just like to apologize in advance for my sunglasses. I do suffer from light sensitivity, and today I'm a little sensitive, extra sensitive today, so I have to put on my sunglasses. So just bear with me as I go through this. And I am ready for us to get started with our presentation on this topic. So let me get to the full screen. So again, we are looking at, let me ensure that it's sharing. We are looking at the digital overload reality, how screens are reshaping childhood. Today's children are growing up in an unprecedented era of digital immersion. The average child spends over 7 hours daily on screens, fundamentally changing how they learn, play, and connect. Research reveals concerning impacts: disrupted sleep patterns, increased anxiety, reduced attention spans, and diminished face-to-face social skills. Yet technology isn't going anywhere. Our challenge is finding balance. The key isn't elimination, but intentional integration. Understanding these challenges is the first step toward creating healthier digital habits for your family. As I sit and reflect on that, 7 hours a day that children are being on the screen, that is a very long time for someone to be spent in front of a screen. If we really think about it, if a child is supposed to get, let's say, 7, 8 hours of sleep each night out of the 24, they have to have time for they have to have time for school or learning. They have to have time for socialization. They have to have time where they're interacting with people. And that is extremely a long, too long of a time for a child to be on a screen. So we have to see, it's not that we want to eliminate them being on technology, but we need to be intentional with the time that we set and the different habits that we try to instill for our children to follow. We have to ensure that there is some screen time, but definitely not 7 hours on average. So as we go through the next slide. So understanding your child's digital world, there's apps, there's platforms, and then there's also behaviors. So social platforms such like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and Discord dominate teen social life. Each platform has unique features, risks, and cultural norms your child navigates daily. There are gaming communities. Online gaming offers connection and competition, but also exposes kids to strangers, inappropriate content, and addictive reward systems designed to keep them playing. Communication habits. Kids text, video, chat, and share constantly. Understanding their communication patterns help you recognize normal behavior versus concerning changes. Finally, digital pressures. From FOMO to curated perfection, social media creates intense pressure. Likes, comments, and followers become measures of self-worth and social status. So it's important that we as parents that we are mindful and knowledgeable of these different types of platforms that your child have exposure to and how being exposed to these different platforms and communities, it actually can change the way your child communicates. It also can change their behaviors and because of the pressure that they can build over time with being exposed to basically strangers and other persons who can put pressure on them. So the key is to set healthy boundaries without constant battles. So you can collaborate, you can set expectations, you can implement consistently, and you can adjust as needed. So effective boundaries aren't about control, they're about collaboration. When kids understand the reasoning behind limits and help to create them, compliance increases dramatically. Start with age-appropriate guidelines. Communicate the why behind each rule and remain flexible as your child demonstrates responsibility. Start early. Establish tech habits. Problems arise. So start early. Establish tech habits before problems arise. It's easier to maintain boundaries than to impose new restrictions later. Be consistent. Follow through every time. Inconsistent enforcement undermines your credibility and creates confusion. Model the behavior. Children model what they see. Your own screen habits set the standards for theirs. So if you want your child to have limited time or only specific time on their technology, it's important that you can model that you can show that it is possible that they can be able to carry out that type of behavior that you're asking of them by demonstrating it and modeling and having it as a part of your life as well. So even as parents, if we want our children to be readers, for instance, it's important that they see us reading, that they see us enjoy what we're reading. And it's important to follow through and be consistent every time. So if you want to have it where they get on technology for 2 or 3 hours at a certain point or time or different times throughout the day, it's important that you establish that from when they're young and as they grow up and grow into it, they're already used to that pattern of behavior because it was implemented from the beginning. And then if you're consistent with it, even if it's an older child and you're just now getting it done, if they're helping to set the boundaries, if they're helping to come up with the limitations in the plan, and they would be more likely to follow through with the rules and the guidelines that were established. So since they feel like they have a little bit of ownership in setting it all up, that way consistency can also happen, and it can be a change that is implemented within the family across the board. And you will see that when you're limiting the time on the social media, now you have extra time that you can spend with your children and your family doing things together that that time would have otherwise been taken up online. You can find other things to do with your family, like playing games or having family game night or cooking together or taking a walk around the neighborhood, doing art together, talking, writing. There's so many different things that family members can do together to help to build cohesion in the family. So online safety fundamentals, privacy, predators, and digital footprints. The internet never forgets. Every photo, comment, and interaction creates a permanent digital footprint that can impact your child's future college admissions, job prospects, and personal relationships. Online predators are sophisticated, often posing as peers to build trust before exploiting vulnerabilities. Teach your child to recognize manipulation tactics and never share personal information, location, data, or images with online-only contacts. Privacy settings matter, but they're not foolproof. Regular conversations about what's appropriate to share and with whom create a culture of safety awareness. So, what are some critical safety principles? There might be some principles around your personal information. Never share full name, address, school, or phone number publicly online. Stranger danger. If you haven't met in person with a parent present, they're a stranger, period. Report concerns. Create a judgment-free zone where kids feel safe reporting uncomfortable interactions. Creating a family media plan that actually works. A successful family media plan balances structure with flexibility, addresses individual needs, and evolves as children mature. The American Academy of Pediatrics offers free, customizable templates, but the real magic happens in family discussions where everyone's voice matters. Identify your family values. Ask yourselves what matters most. Quality time, physical activity, sleep, academic success. Let values guide your tech decisions. Define screen-free zones. You can go ahead. I paused it. I paused it. You could get it. Huh? Why? Because I have light sensitivity. It's a lot of glare. I'm gonna start wearing my glasses as of my thing because even like when I'm looking at myself on the screen, my eyes just like look like they're being affected by the glare from the TV. Mhm. Bedrooms, dinner table, and family gatherings remain sacred spaces for connection without digital distraction. Set time limits. Establish daily maximums that account for homework, entertainment, and social connection. Not all screen time is equal. Plan content guidelines. Age-appropriate content standards, approval processes for new apps, and consequences for violations. Schedule regular reviews. Revisit and adjust the plan quarterly. What works for a 10-year-old won't work for a teenager. So it's important that as we look at a family media plan that actually works, everybody who is going to be involved in the plan building, that should be the children, if the child is old enough to make those decisions and have a reasonable conversation. If the child is very young, clearly the parents will discuss amongst themselves how the family time is going to be set. What, like I was mentioning earlier, what matters most? The quality time matters most, the physical activity matters, sleep matters, academic success. We have to figure out which of these things matters the most in our family at this time. If we have a 2-year-old, the academic success necessarily wouldn't be as high if we had a teenager or an 8-year-old or an elementary school child. So we have to look at where we are in the family as it relates to each individual member within the family as we break down the amount of screen time, the and where and how long they should have it. In the bedroom, if it's time to go to bed, the screen will be a distraction for many people. They stay on their phones when they lay down to go to sleep, and that's the hours are still now being spent on the screen time versus resting. So some families like to put their technologies and phones inside of their kitchen area or in the main central area overnight, and then they get their devices back in the morning. They have alarm clocks and other systems that they put in place where they have smart homes now where their Alexas and whoever else can wake them up. So it's important that you set these screen-free zones at specific times of the day or what's going on. So when you're having dinner, the phones should be put away. If we're having a family gathering, if we're having like Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner or whatever it is, it could be a wedding and everyone's set to have dinner to eat. And that is the time when you should be conversing and all of that, not being on the phone. So just establishing some things that we value and what we're not going to allow the digital presence in. So once we set up these limitations and the time frames and all of that stuff, just make sure that you're following through with your children every day, making sure that they are still putting, that everyone is still putting their technologies where they should go and that they are having those, as they mature and grow, we can adjust some of the rules and boundaries because as they get older, they can get more freedom. As they become young adults, they're now in control of themselves. So we have to learn to give the child the opportunity to also work on how they're going to manage their own screen time as they mature. So there can be tech agreements also. You can build accountability and trust with your kids. And there is the power of a written agreement. Tech agreements transform abstract rules into concrete commitments. When kids co-create and sign these documents, they take ownership of the expectation. Effective agreements specify exactly what happens when rules are broken. There's no surprises. There's no arguments in the heat of the moment. They also outline how privileges expand when demonstrated responsibility, creating motivation for good choices. Include a no surprises clause. You reserve the right to check devices, but you'll communicate openly about monitoring. Trust is a two-way street that requires transparency from parents too. So we can actually go and have a whole contract drawn up if you want to, because when they see things in writing and there's a solid understanding, then they can better navigate and carry things through. There's no, I was confused about this or the other or the fourth or fifth. There's a whole agreement and they sign the agreement. And if there is any breaking of the rules within the agreement, you can hold them accountable. Or if the parent breaks the rule, then you can hold the parent accountable because an agreement is going to go across the board. It's not just about just the child. This would be something that would be a whole commitment that the whole family is trying to make as we're learning to control the amount of digital presence in our social areas where we should be connecting as individuals, not with the human connection that has nothing to do with the technology at all. Unless you're trying to capture a picture or a quick video of the event. Yeah, I could see that. But for the most part, the technology should be put away so that quality time can be spent with the conversation and taking in the moments and the experience of whatever it is that you were doing at the time. So there is a balancing of screen time with real world connections. Daily device free time. So you can schedule specific hours when the entire family unplugs. Make it sacred, consistent, and filled with meaningful activities. So there can be a time, like I was mentioning earlier, between the hours of 7 and 10. It can be a digital free time where the family is spending time, say, cooking dinner together and having and eating food and then maybe playing some games together or taking that walk. There can be screen-free meals. Research shows families who eat together without devices have stronger bonds and better communication patterns. Prioritize physical activity. 1 hour of movement daily isn't negotiable. Outdoor time reduces screen dependency and improves mental health. I am a big advocate for people going outside and getting immersed in nature. I try to get outside as often as humanly possible. I would be outside getting in with nature because it has definitely been proven to benefit my mental health and overall balance. Protect deep sleep. Devices out of bedrooms 1 hour before bed. Blue light and notifications sabotage quality rest and development. So 1 hour before it's bedtime, you should have your device out your room. You should be winding down. You can meditate. You can do breathing exercises. Um, for me, I use my device and I put on the different noises and the different hertz, or I would put on thunderstorms or something like that that would help me to go off to sleep. It's not something that's like, and I put my phone on Do Not Disturb between the hours of 10 p.m. and 9 a.m. My phone is on Do Not Disturb. So even though my device is in my room, it's on my nightstand and I'm in my bed and I'm letting the sounds lull me off to sleep. But they do have other devices that you can get that would still be able to play your sounds that you're looking for without having the phone. But I just use the phone for those purposes. But for the children, it's important that we take it out until they get used to not being reliant on playing with the device. So, the reality of online conflict. 60% of teens report experiencing cyberbullying. The performance of digital interactions amplifies every conflict, turning minor disputes into public spectacles. Teach your child the pause and reflect rule. Wait 24 hours before responding to inflammatory messages. Emotional reactions posted in anger can't be taken back. When cyberbullying occurs, document everything. Screenshots are evidence. Block the aggressor, report the platforms to school authorities, and never retaliate. Fighting fire with fire only creates more damage. Here are some warning signs to watch. Suddenly avoiding devices or using them constantly. Emotional reactions to notifications or messages. Withdrawn behavior or declining grades. Changes in sleep patterns or appetite. Reluctance to discuss online activities. And decreased interest in social activities. So these are some tips on navigating social media drama and cyberbullying. 60% is a very high percentage of teens that have experienced cyberbullying. So it's important that we understand that children, they do not know how to respond effectively to issues like cyberbullying. So they would get more emotional or their emotions are heightened. Their behavior changes when something is happening to them that they cannot control. So it's important that we teach them instead of reacting immediately, they should pause and wait before they say anything. And then also it's important that they are able to come and talk to you. But if you notice that your child is showing withdrawn behavior or their grades are changing or they're emotional or something is off, it's important that we do ask them specifically, is something happening with you, with your friends online? Is something happening with you and your friends at school? What is going on? Because something seemed to have changed, especially if you know that there was no big change that was happening within the household. So here are some tools and strategies for monitoring without micromanaging your child. Effective monitoring respects privacy while maintaining safety. The goal isn't to read every message, but ensure your child's digital environment remains healthy and age appropriate. So there are parental control apps, tools like Bark, Custodio, or Circle detect concerning content, manage screen time, and filter inappropriate material while allowing age appropriate freedom. You can do regular check ins with your children. Weekly informal conversations about online experience build trust. Ask who they're talking to, what they're enjoying, and if anything feels uncomfortable. You can have a transparency policy with your child. Establish upfront that you'll periodically review accounts and messages. Knowing monitoring happens discourages risky behavior without constant surveillance. Teach safe monitoring. Help kids develop their own awareness. Discuss privacy settings. Recognize red flags and make good decisions independently as they mature. So here's an action plan that you can use today to preserve your family connection in the digital age. This week, you can schedule family meetings to discuss digital habits openly. Listen to your kids' perspectives without judgment before establishing new guidelines. For this month, you can create your family media plan together. Draft a tech agreement. Choose monitoring tools and establish screen-free zones and times. And as an ongoing action plan, you can maintain open dialogue, model healthy habits yourself, and adjust boundaries as children demonstrate responsibly. Connection requires consistent effort. Remember, technology isn't the enemy. Disconnection is. Your intentional approach to managing digital life will create lasting habits that protect your family's most valuable asset, time together. So that is the end of our presentation. I hope that you all enjoyed the information that was shared today and that you are able to implement some of these strategies with your family even as soon as today. It can help to alleviate a lot of stress. It can also pinpoint some problems that your child might be experiencing. And it can also be a positive benefit to bringing your family structure together closer without social media or technology getting in the way of your human connections. So again, this is Miss Lawanda with Learning with Lawanda, and I am thanking you again for viewing our content and our Rooted Parent Workshop. And I will see you again next month for our new topic that we will be covering. So join us next month for our new topic, It Takes a Village, Reestablishing Community Support for Families. Here we're going to discover practical strategies for rebuilding the networks of support that help families thrive, from grandparents to neighbors to trusted mentors. So join me again next month in June, and we will be talking about It Takes That Village to Raise That Child. So see you then. Thank you again. Bye.